Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
PD Beats here from Popternative, speaking to John DiMino about CRAM, which is having its world premiere at the Austin Film Festival.
Ooh.
John, welcome to Popternative. Thank you so much for being here.
Man, Peter, thank you so much for having me.
You know what? It's end of October, and it's premiering October 22nd at the Austin Film Festival. It's October, man. It's spooky season. And what could be better than a nice spooky horror film, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, getting the premiere in Austin, we were so jazzed up by the season and the time and everything like that. Yeah, it's we're happy. We got a nice late time slot, 10:45. It's perfect.
I know.
It's perfect for a
it's
horror
amazing.
movie.
Little bit of an interesting acting exercise for you, because obviously this is a film that has a lot of, there are some other actors in it, but there's a lot of scenes in this, obviously, that is just you. So I'm just curious, what was that like? And have you worked on anything like that before?
Yeah, I mean, my background largely is theater and theater in New York. I've done a lot of New York City, like off Broadway theater. So no, you usually always have you have your monologue moments, right, and everything like that, but in theater you're 99% of the time always with somebody else. So it was definitely a new thing and a new challenge, but our director AB Seidel, I loved working with him. He's so on top of it, man. And I never felt lost without a scene partner or anything like that, because we talked about everything before every shot, every scene. I always knew what we were doing and what we were trying to do. So definitely different and new exercise, but never felt lost. So that was great. Yeah.
What, for John DiMino specifically, what was the interest and knowledge of the genre of horror and thriller? Because it's such an amazing genre these days. Like, what did you know about it? Were you familiar with it? Did you like it? Did you want to work on movies like that? Like, what was that aspect of it like?
Yeah, this is my first horror movie that I've ever done. And I gotta say, as a viewer, as a consumer of content, I'm scared. I'm scared of horror movies. So I haven't seen too many, which is a shame, I know, because it's a beautiful, beautiful genre in so many ways. But I was really excited to get into one. And I think this might sound obvious or whatever coming from an actor, but I think something that makes a really good actor is just the very simple ability to believe that whatever's happening to you is happening to you, right? And just to no matter how sci-fi or fantasy or horror or whatever it is, but just be able I live in this world, right? And monsters are real in this world, and I think I can do that pretty well. So I was really excited to just throw the caution to the wind, go full in on the belief, and just do all this crazy stuff like the inky bird scene and everything like that.
I'll tell you what I really liked about CRAM. I am a big horror movie fan. I've been watching them all my life. I love it. I love where the genre is going. I'll tell you what I like about this. This is a perfect example of the new direction and the new ability that storytelling is giving people to scare people without going back to the traditional tropes of scaring people, like the jump scares and the gore. Has a bit of that, but it's got big head games in this that is a new way to scare people. And what better way to scare people than cramming for one of the most important tests of your life, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, we've been saying this movie is about that universal nightmare that we kind of all have in one form or another about college, or just that stress dream, right? And for so many people it manifests through college. For actors, it's that dream where your opening night and you don't have your lines memorized. Or when my dad saw this movie, at first I was like, oh, I don't know what he's gonna think, right? But he goes, his response was, John, I totally get it. I still have that nightmare to this day about my Marquette business school finals.
Oh, I have dreams sometimes where I'm I've graduated years ago, right? And I still have dreams about a final paper or a test of what the fuck. It's a thing.
It's a real thing. And we tapped into it, I think, really well. And it's totally scary because it's so lived. It's such a lived experience for so many of us.
I told you before we started, the film's having its world premiere at the Austin Film Festival. Obviously, film festivals, a lot of different genres, a lot of different submissions, and a lot of amazing films at the festival this year. I did tell you before we started, and I want to say it, is This one caught my eye because of the fact that I love the genre, but this was different and unique and looked amazing. Is it safe to say that's something that if you're talking to someone who's interested in films and thriller and horror, is that something you think you and the crew are going to say, that it is a different kind of, it's a different film. It has a different feeling compared to others.
Yeah. I think there's a few things that sort of like set CRAM apart in that sort of like a sense. And because you're right, it's sort of like, I think it rides this line of like jump scare monster horror mixed with like psychological thriller and like existential dread horror, if you even want to call it that, like really well. And I think that like that makes it unique. God, the space that we shot it in, that library, I mean, it just adds so like it feels so, I don't know.
Were they? I'm just curious about this. Were they late night shoots? Like, was it actually night?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You have to, right? I feel like.
Yeah. I mean, it sets the whole thing. We totally flipped schedules for two shooting weekends. We did this thing pretty quick, but it was all hands on deck. Yeah, it was, and I love the nighttime shoots. I mean, it can get like, obviously, like on the third day in a row, you start to be like, oh my God, okay, I need to get out of here. I'm gonna lose my mind in this library. But I love the nighttime shoots because it feels so mission driven. Like it's like everybody's here. You're doing this thing that's so out of the norm from your usual schedule. Like you're here to do something. And I really, this team like managed that energy really well. I loved collaborating with these guys.
Absolutely. I mean, no, it was unbelievable. So obviously the film's made, you shop it around festivals. That's the thing. What was going through your mind when you got the call for Austin Film Festival?
For Austin, I mean, just like, I don't know, just joy, man. I mean, for so many reasons. Just joy. AB, our director, called me and he's like, hey man, we got into Austin, like prestigious film festival. We were really excited. And like, I think it's sort of it's a three-tiered thing for me, the joy. And the first is like, this is my first time any of my work's in like a big festival. Like, the whole city turns out for it. It's like a week long, all this other stuff. I've been in a couple little festivals in New York and stuff like that, but this is like my first big festival experience. And I'm just so excited to be in that space where everybody's here to celebrate cinema of all kinds. The next is like, this is my first example of my work, and it happens to be work I'm really proud of, getting out to a bigger audience.
Yeah, like, absolutely.
Rather than out of the New York theater scene. And I can't wait for everybody to see it and see what I can do, And
then hopefully after the film festival circuits, people will be able to figure out a way to watch it digitally and everything. And that's the point too, right? You kind of use the film festival as that kind of launch pad, that kind of taste. Of course. And then word of mouth comes, and then it's like, now it's available on demand. Like that's how it kind of starts too, right?
Yeah. We're here to do the networking, man. I mean, this, like I said, it's a really hardworking crew. Like we're going to be, like tomorrow, we're going to be handing out flyers all over the place. We printed out like stickers and pins to give away to people to try to drive interest to the screening and just have stuff to talk about with all the other filmmakers. And you got to do all that networking side of it. It's totally part of it.
Oh, absolutely. People are going to have a chance to see it when they watch CRAM. What are you hoping they get out of it?
I hope, like we said earlier, I hope they experience like a little bit of catharsis through watching Mark go through this universal nightmare about school that I kind of talked about earlier. Because I think there is a lot of catharsis to be had there. That's like number one. I hope like, I just hope everybody can go along for the ride. You know what I'm saying? And, because it's easy, I don't know, people can get bogged down in details or whatever. Like, oh, this and that, but it's like, just let all it go on the crazy ride that Mark goes on. That's what I want people to do. I want people to step into Mark's shoes. I hope my performance lets them step into Mark's shoes and just go on this wild ride through a psychedelic library that wants to torture its inhabitants.
I guess it depends on the project, but I'm curious what your mindset was as an actor once you were done shooting and you wrapped CRAM. Was it kind of one of those, because, your character, like you said, goes through a lot. There's a lot happening. It's a lot of like, oh man, like every corner is a turn. It's like, what is happening right now? So there's a lot.
Yeah.
From an actor's perspective, I'm sure it could be a very exhausting, emotional kind of experience playing that role. So is that kind of like you're done filming that? Is that kind of like, oof, that was a lot. Like, let's take a break? Or was your mindset like, all right, I'm ready for the next one. Let's go make another movie.
It is so funny you asked that because they literally we did the 2 main weekends, and then there was one weekend that popped up where we needed to do pickups. And it was a lot, burnt out, all night shoots, like all crazy. I was tired, man. I was definitely tired.
Yep.
Because yeah, like you said, there's some crazy stuff we do in those scenes. A lot of heavy physical acting.
100%, absolutely.
They pulled a prank on me. The producer Zach calls me up one day at like 9 p.m. right. I'm like, oh God, I'm already tired, long day from whatever. And he's like, oh John, listen, man, I know you don't want to hear this, but we have to do another weekend of pickups. We have to do it tomorrow. Like, and I was like, oh, I want a break. I need a break, man. Then he's like, no, just kidding, man. We're having a celebratory dinner. Like they literally, so like you're saying, like, yeah, I mean, burnt out's not the right word, but like, you know, you need a minute. You need a little bit of time.
And this is an indie film. Yeah, absolutely. This is an indie film. This is a low budget film. Let's be honest. This is. Is there a misconception, John, about indie films and low budget films that people think that it might be easier because it's like an indie and low budget film, and you're just like, I find that very interesting in terms of the narrative of indie films.
Yeah,
because it's wrong. Because it's not easier.
Yes, I completely agree. Money solves so many problems. So if you have a lot of money, you can solve so many problems really easily.
I think people were saying it's a couple of friends filming a shoot, right? You get a little crew, you do it. I think that mentality, but I think people don't get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean it creates awesome opportunities for problem solving and really creative problem solving, and I think that's where a lot of the beauty in indie cinema lies. It's like how are you going to solve the problems that normally money would. So yeah, but easy is not the right word to describe the indie filmmaking process. No,
and it's interesting too because you look at it in music, right? I mean, the term indie. Like some of the best movies, some of the most popular movies these days are indie movies. Yeah. And it's like there's a lot of indie rock bands I grew up listening to, Arctic Monkeys, Vampire Weekend, right?
Oh, yeah.
Indie, independent.
Yeah.
These bands are playing stadiums.
yeah, not necessarily.
Like, do you find like I find indies backwards a little bit, man? Don't you agree?
Yeah. I mean, the indie mainstream. I don't know, man. Yeah, I do agree.
It's interesting as well. John, thanks so much for taking some time on Popternative to talk about CRAM. I really, really appreciate it, man.
Gosh, man, thank you for having me. Premiere this weekend. Couldn't be more excited to be in Austin.
How do you feel?
Good.
It's a cool moment, man, with everything happening. Like it's I hope you enjoy every second of it, man. Like it's amazing. So yeah, world premiere at the film festival, Austin Film Festival. Yes. Tickets will be in our link when we post the pre-order for the tickets. They can check it out if they're in the area. Where can people follow you on social media to keep update with everything?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram. My handle is John is Pilot because I just got my helicopter pilot's license.
Congratulations!
So that's kind of a cool random thing also. But yeah, Instagram John is Pilot.
Amazing. Well, this has been Popternative, youtube.com/Popternative. For previous episodes, CRAM is having its world premiere at the Austin Film Festival, so be able to check that out. Until next time, it's John DiMino and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.